Hello, and welcome to another edition of Storytelling on Orchard Street. I'm your host, Pete Salamita, and with me today is Jennifer Blowdryer. Jennifer is a poet, a writer, and a musician, formerly known as Megan Baring-Gould Waters. She got her name from her San Francisco punk band, the Blowdryers. As an author, she has written a novel, a memoir, a dictionary, and an advice book. As a journalist, she wrote for the column from Maximum Rock and Roll, New York Press, and Downtown. She's still very active in the artist and cultural scene of New York City. Welcome to the studio, Jennifer.
Thank you. It's nice to be here on Orchard Street.
It's a good place to be.
I just noticed Baraket's back, this Turkish place.
Oh.
That they've been closed for years and years.
Wow.
And I love them.
Great.
So I'm happy.
That's good to know. And you're a neighborhood gal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so originally you were from Rhode Island, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yes. Grew up there?
Yeah, I'm a faculty brat, so I guess I primarily grew up there, but we would spend time in North Carolina a year where I went to public school in Paris.
Wow.
And
that must have been fun. No.
I got a really good they were light on me. They were they were tough on the French kids.
How old were you?
I was maybe 8.
So I'm guessing you didn't know too much French by that point.
No, they taught it to me.
Oh.
And this woman would grab my jaws and force me to pronounce correctly.
That must have been kind of creepy.
I don't know, you know when you're a kid and you don't really know what's going on, you just go from one thing to but I got a great accent, but in the process I have a lisp in the English language.
Wow. Okay. And then from there?
Then when I was 14 or 15, our household was, violent. My father was.
Oh, sorry.
He's another bad guy.
Right.
So we got on a train and we went to San Francisco. Because my mother, she really liked Berkeley and the politics and the culture.
Right.
And my Uncle Arnold had an apartment in San Francisco. And so, we moved there. And
it's funny because I was going to ask you how you wound up in San Francisco. That's going to be my next question. So, and you went to school there, college, I mean.
I went to, and my California, as a resident, the California college system was pretty benign. And I went to SF State for 3 years. I got a little Pell Grant or whatever it was. And then I transferred to UC Berkeley, which wasn't as hard to get into, but I had a couple great writing teachers. And
I was going to ask you, it was journalism or writing in general? Or?
It was, at the time you could still major in quote unquote English.
Okay, right.
So, I guess I was an English major.
Right.
And
did you write a lot as a teen?
I did. I started being published. When I was a teenager, I was hanging out with this Ginger Coyote from Punk Club, and we had started a band together later, White Trash Debutantes.
Okay, I like that name.
And we kind of lived in our own mean world.
When you in the band, what did you play?
In the Blowdryers? White Trash. What I did is I came in with a because I'm a groover, so I came in, I had put together a cassette tape of songs that we could cover as a party band. And
what kind of songs?
Oh God, Monkey See, Monkey Do by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs.
Okay. I love that band.
Oh God, don't even get me started. I love that dude.
I remember that Wooly Bully was such a big radio hit.
I still have 2 albums.
Right.
And interesting guy. I believe he's still alive, but
he
withdrew from.
I'd like to find that out.
I know, me too.
Right. And what else? That's a good start. What else?
Let's see, Convoy. Remember there was a hack writer called C.W. McCall,
Yeah.
and he put out have different personas.
Wow, that's an odd choice.
But it's still so catchy.
Right.
We got a little car,
Wow.
so just stuff that was.
And I know you probably don't, but do you have a cassette of that band? It would be a blast to hear that.
I have one cassette of a live show of the White Trash Debutantes, but I came to New York. I got a fellowship to a writing program here, and that cassette tape wasn't good quality enough for me to book the band or anything. And I don't listen to it. I have a lot of my own stuff I don't listen to. Because I know I'd just be like, that's so bad quality. Right. But I do have a cassette tape.
I'm pretty hard myself. I was a drummer for many 40 plus years.
Do you still have a kit?
I still have a kit and a house full of percussion stuff, and I think about getting back to it at some point, but it's been a while. I was in a band maybe 8 years ago was the last one. Now I'm doing this. Poetry. And, yeah, and I'm doing poetry with music too sometimes.
Where's your gear at? Manhattan?
It's in my house, Brooklyn. Yeah.
Brooklyn. Yeah. Okay, that's very good to know.
So let's get to. There's so many places we can go, but your name comes from the band, the Blowdryers, right?
Yeah, I had.
Tell me about that band.
Well, me and this couple girls I was hanging out with, we decided that we wanted to start an all-girl punk band.
Cool.
Which meant...
And what year was this?
I'm guessing 77.
Oh, okay.
So it entailed putting up a flyer in a record shop.
Right.
But the fact was that Mary carried around a bass, but I don't think she could play, but she was a really interesting girl.
But she owned one, so that's a good start.
She'd gotten a hold of one, and I had a keyboard, a Fender Rhodes 73.
Okay.
And I went to my piano teacher, and I said, this is the stuff I like. How can I play it? And I played them like Devo, the Ramones.
Right.
And he's like, that's easy.
Right.
C, F, G, that's all I'm doing.
Well, it's good that he at least helped you with it because
he
didn't turn his nose up at.
No, I'm really used to, I've been spoiled by being around musicians, and they usually can just hear something and they know the note and they could figure it out. So you're just a young guy with like what do they call that? A job.
Right.
So,
making a buck.
Yeah. So we put up a sign, and then we got one response.
And this is in San Francisco.
This would have been in like Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco.
Right.
And the girls lived in a group home in San Jose, but we all hung out as much as possible because we could go to the Mabuhay Gardens and the Stud, which is a gay bar that just played the best music.
Right.
So the responses were Susie, who became Susie Blowdryer, who's a guitarist, and Bruce, who was the Dead Kennedys' first drummer.
Okay.
He's a really nice guy, but I think he ascertained that we were not that musically talented. And
you mentioned the Dead Kennedys. Remember that Frankenchrist album?
No, was that with the Geiger cover though?
Yeah. No, it was a poster inside. And so I was working for a record distributor, Green World, and we got them in. I was like, holy shit, look at this. And I bought a couple extra copies and left them unsealed. And then I opened one to play. And they wound up the next press, and they didn't put the poster in because all the chains wouldn't. It was a painting of just dicks. It's a dick poster.
Okay.
Right, that's why. And this was middle America didn't take kindly to that. So
I mostly just.
So I think it might be worth a lot of money because I have the unsealed albums with that poster in it.
It's possible, and I did just go through like a stack of zines and books. Once a month, Michael Board from Maximum Rock and Roll and Jim Testa from Jersey Beat, we meet at the Algonquin.
Okay.
And sometimes like we give out material, but I thought let me see if this shit has any value. Right. And some of it does.
Right.
would I be too inept and lazy to really vend things online? Possibly,
I
but I'm
am, yeah.
thinking about
I have a
it.
house full of stuff I could do online. It could be a little cottage industry, my retirement fund.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about with you.
Uh-huh.
It's like I could go back and forth on
Oh
this.
yeah.
But so you had the band thing going on, and you were still in college, writing, taking writing, or were you out of college at this point? Or?
I wasn't really, college was mainly to get the at SF State to get the student loans, and then you get health care with
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I had my own life. They really don't even have a campus.
Oh,
A couple
wow.
of
Okay.
vending machines
Right.
and but it was so I was at SF State, the same time, like I'm thinking 78, because I
Right.
remember there was this kind of villainous guy that I was going out with, his bass player, and the villainous guy, R.I.P., he'd push his girlfriend through a plate glass window.
wow.
He was just like a
Right.
personification of
Wow.
the devil.
Right.
But they had great music taste.
Right.
But she was supposed to be enrolled at San Francisco State University as well.
Right.
And I remember kind of chiding her, like, Eva, you should go to your classes. Eva Destruction was her handle.
Oh.
And she'd be like, no, I love Floyd. So I kind of,
Right.
they had their own fetish thing going on.
So you had the music, the writing. How far, how far did the Blowdryers go, or how did it wind up? Like you wound up in New York City, right? That's how.
No,
when you were writing for the Free Press, you were in New York City.
The Blowdryers was a band.
Uh-huh.
Susie fell down a pipe drain, I think, and she was injured, and
Wow.
that was kind of.
That was the end of it.
Yeah, the end of it. I kept doing music with various people, but when I moved to New York, Timmy O'Hannon from Maximum Rock and Roll, he thought it was funny. And my first book was just coming out, Modern English,
Okay.
a trendy slang
Right.
dictionary that Last Gasp
Mm-hmm.
put out. And so he just got...
And what was that book like?
It's a pretty good book.
Yeah.
It's like $100 at least to get it online.
So it's still
I mean,
available. Wow.
Yeah, for a lot of money,
Right.
but that's another...
Right.
Publishing's a whole other
Right.
story. But so he asked me if I wanted to do a column for Maxim Rock and Roll, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was living in an 8x10 room at International House.
And what was the column on?
I have them. I would just write about whatever struck me at the time,
Right.
low-level promotion, or what became a lifelong alliance with sex workers, activism.
Right, so it wasn't just music.
What was a sociopath.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and he was pretty open about what he accepted, and it would be distributed all over the continent, practically.
Right, yeah.
A lot of weird kids read it.
Right, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it was a good project, and then New York Press, I started...
Did they hire you based on being in Maximum Rock and Roll?
No, they didn't even know about. They didn't know me at all, and still don't. Although I try to change that. But I went. Oh, I had started. Annie Sprinkle and Veronica Vieira, and this tattoo artist Spiderweb were kind of helping me out.
He died last year.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, I wrote a poem about him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I called it the High Heel School of Journalism, because they'd hire me to do model releases or a photo assistant. I think it was just a way for Annie to kick me some money.
Okay.
And the visual probably. But she schooled me. I had to make a couple grand to get out of my certificate from the Columbia Graduate Writing Program. So she schooled me on how to write for those adult magazines. And she said, always have, you always come in with like 5 proposals,
Right.
and then if there's one they tell you to go with, you can go with that. And then once they do, you ask for North American rights they only have North American rights up to a point of a year and all this stuff. So by the time I decided to write for New York Press, I just balls out came in and I was like, I have these 5 ideas, hello.
Right.
And then they changed editors and they had this Alex Zajcik, and he was my editor, and he had me writing on Neighborhoods Late at Night.
Tell the listeners might not know it because we didn't really do that with Maximum Rock and Roll. Maybe describe to the listeners those 2 publications, because
I'm not the best person to describe things. I don't want to waste your time.
Okay, well, New York Free Press in my mind was...
It was New York Press.
Oh, New York Press. Oh. I was thinking, okay. I got confused.
When it came out, it was this guy from Baltimore, Russ Smith, and there was a point when the weeklies were kind of challenging each other. So the Village Voice was $2, so New York Press was free.
Right.
Then Downtown Magazine, which I also wrote for, they didn't want me to write for New York Press and vice versa.
Oh, okay.
So New York Press was in a lot of newspaper boxes around the city.
Originally, the Voice was free. They started charging.
Yeah, then they had to go free again.
Yeah,
and
right.
Yeah, that was such a great institution for so long.
Right.
But went south.
How about you have some music you want to play?
All right, I have some. Let me sign in. I use this literary journalist, John Ronson. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
He's my sign-in thing for this device.
Oh, okay.
You love him. He's got books galore. Okay, so I had my friend Thatcher help me put some songs on SoundCloud. This is a song.
When's this from?
She's got the weirdness. It's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then I have recordings that are more recent, but I haven't.
And what's the lineup of musicians on that?
It changes. Right. So let me find the song, and then I'll tell you who's on it.
Got it. All right, that sounds fair.
Yeah. Let me find it. Bedbugs, Stone Lake Hill, that's a punker. It's Not Safe is a really pretty song. I'll do that first. And that was this woman who'd been an exotic dancer for a long time, and she was kind of sort of crashing at my boyfriend's place, but she was from Georgia. She was a good talker, and so one day I was going up to a bodega right around here, and I was reaching to get some coconut milk, and she said, "Don't do that. I'm not being an alarmist. It'll kill you." So I put together like her stories.
Drinking
coconut milk killing you.
Coconut.
And then a couple of my stories from traveling, because I had traveled not as a sex worker, but I've been in Osaka. So here it is. And on keyboards is this guy Steve Waite, who when he was young he was Jennifer Flowers' piano bar accompanist.
Okay.
She's the one who had a little affair with Bill Clinton, and he's in Mexico City making music now. So he's on piano. It's a beautiful Yamaha electric from 30 Below Road Music. And then Kevin Tooley, my producer, he hits one drum once.
Okay.
And then my accompanist I worked for a lot, Steve Wishnia from the False Prophets, he just put in some lap steel. Like,
nice.
Wham.
Yeah.
So here it goes. It's really pretty. Okay. Now it doesn't want to play.
Sorry for technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's asking. It's trying to push something. Okay, here we go. Take it up. Yeah.
Just raise the volume.
it'll kill you.
There we go.
I knew a woman, she had cancer. And she just kept drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. And she died. And never go to the Philippines. It's filthy. It's really dangerous. Unless you run into this one tough guy from London, as I did. So I'm okay. And you can work in Tokyo, but not Osaka. These Chinese guys will come down from the roof. They'll go down the stairs and reach through your window and take your passport. It's not safe. And never go to Dubai. They'll find your body in the desert with no clothes and no name. It happened to a woman I knew. She is Russian. Well, she was Russian. Right after she was seen in the desert drinking coconut milk on the wrong side of the world. And never go to the corner store. You'll get your ass kicked. It happened to me as recently as a week ago. And now I write you from a black man using this pencil, 'cause pens are dangerous for me, and I suspect for you. So don't drink the coconut milk, it'll kill you. But Singapore's okay.
I love that. That was really cool. You
Yes.
you consider spoken word music? I mean, or
I consider them,
it's like
I'm
very
kind of-
it's like poet. It's
I'm a snob
it's-
on the topic, and I'm usually around so many people giving their opinions, their bona fides, that I don't get to say it, but I really believe strongly that lyrics, poetry, free-form prose, literary journalism, that they're all different
right.
genres, because lyrics, you know, and someone will always disagree with me at this point, and then I'll just order another beer.
Right.
But
I think it's still playing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
Because lyrics, even by the greats, they don't read well. They're not meant to be read.
It's really fully connected to the music.
And
Right.
poetry, I think, as with lyrics, like each word has to be very precise.
Right.
Like you don't go for the lazy cliche, or I am
Right.
not really a poet, but I write free-form prose.
Okay.
But I would never read, I don't know, fiction or prose. There's a bad thing, that habit where they think they could just, the musicians are like shrubbery, like just throw them in the back and barrel through your piece.
Right.
And I have a lot of respect for musicians.
Right.
I keep that really separate.
Right. Oh, the music on that was great.
Yeah,
the
they're so
company was
good.
really good. The interplay between the piano and the pedal steel.
Yeah.
I think there was one cymbal note.
That was Kevin Twilley.
Yeah, that was it.
My
That's so cool. Like he could have done another one or two, but it's just one. It's like
He was being chintzy with me, you know, because
Did
he gets paid to drum usually. Now
Oh.
he drums on my recordings.
okay.
But
Was he listed as percussionist?
at the time, no, he's
Oh,
a,
that song, I mean, was it in the listing?
I don't think I got to the picayune thing of listing each
Right,
song, but I have him as a producer because he
Right.
recorded
okay.
it.
That's, yeah. So, do you perform out a lot, music-wise?
There's kind of like a circuit here. I call it the Music Geezer Circuit.
Right,
And so, it was at a Sidewalk, which is closed.
right,
Auto Shrunken Head,
Uh-huh.
which, got a decent sound system, so that's cool.
right.
And Parkside Lounge, the Steve Krebs.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'll play for him. He'll book me for a night.
Cool. I want to go back to something you said because it was when you were talking about it. The lyrics and prose poetry is all different.
Oh, so different.
So I guess what I write is poetry, but then sometimes I was in music forever. Involved in one way or another in music. So in my head, sometimes it comes close to being a lyric. Last year, I entered a poetry contest. It was kind of a total waste of time, but I wanted to do. It was okay to do music with it, so I started doing music with my poetry, and then a couple of them are like, all right, they're like song lyrics. So I can't tell if they're song lyrics or poems still, and whether I should read them or say them. And I'm very bashful about my singing because. It's a different thing. I was the drummer.
It's a different thing.
I think I'm good at reading, but I don't know if I'm good at singing. So I'm in a kind of weird place with this.
Yeah, well, it ain't easy, but I have one fun thing when I get a chance. I've been working with Robert Aaron. He was a sax player for David Bowie.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Michael Shalom.
Yeah.
And
He's on. Is it Young Americans?
yeah, he's on fucking. He played with everybody.
Right. No, that song, the Young American, is
I don't know.
But, yeah.
Anyway, so that's he's got plenty of bona fides.
Right, I remember.
So he, point being, so sometimes when I'd have him play, he's awesome to record with because he's a fucking genius.
Right.
But sometimes I'd have him play live and he'd basically play all over whatever was going on. And he played I think it was like jazz. I think those horn players get bored and they want to,
improvise.
Yeah, they want to bring another angle to it.
Sure.
So if there's like a freestyle jazz band or a musician playing, then I like to cut into the sound in a way that's not, abrasive or screeching at people.
Right.
With maybe 2 lines from a song or what I call American haiku. And that is awesome.
Right. Well, let's talk about your new book. You have a new book out.
Yeah. I have my latest book.
It's called True Blue Essays on New York City, published by Apathy Press 2022, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we show it up to the camera, yeah. In the middle. It's the other way. Get right here.
Do I have it upside down?
Yeah, but right in the middle is the best one. Yeah, there we go.
Woo-hoo.
Yep. Here, watch this.
Oh, that's a lot better. Yeah.
It's a new trick I learned.
That's a good way to do it. So, I don't have any of my essays that were in New York Press, but I have things that I wrote, over the years. Most of them were not published. I like Apathy Press. I've known this guy for a long time. I kind of got turned on to Baltimore, where I met Tommy DeVinny and this guy Dan Allen and this and that. And so his friend William Turner is in Paris, and he has Turner kind of laying out the books. And I don't know, Tommy publishes them through Amazon, but he's old school, so I send him money and then I get a box of books and then I could do what I want.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I did the same thing with my book. Who's that on the cover?
this is this guy Al, who he was in this band called Hammerbrain. He was an old school, like, I guess, NYC hardcore kind of person, and really a partier. Really, he used to manage this place, Benny's Burritos.
Oh yeah, Benny's. Yeah.
But then this poor guy, well, he's not a nice guy, but had him like as a manager of this kind of sports bar, and he kind of turned it into like a Black Coke bar.
Wow.
And they were recording, they got really good audio in the bathroom. So I don't know who has the recordings, but Al was, playing with the people and recording them. And I don't think anyone was making a penny because, those dudes, you'd bring in their own bottle or they're trying to sell cocaine.
Right.
It was kind of funny, but I love that he did that. I love Al.
Why don't you read something from the book?
Okay.
Yeah. And tell us what you're going to read. This episode's going really fast. I want to make sure we get everything.
Okay. So, I wrote a bitch's guide to the Lower East Side. So, I will. It's like a lot of little sections. So, I am NYU students. There are a lot of them. They pay a lot to go there. To improve their group character, the opposite of a safety orientation would go far. Do not hang out in large packs. Take risks that don't involve tired drinking games. And above all, remember, nobody really likes you. If you have any money at all, display it at all times. This is a good way to meet locals. And then I don't know what you'd like to do next. I have a section on Orchard Street.
Oh,
because through this book, Clayton Patterson did Jewish History of the Lower East Side. He does these like doorstop compilation books, of which I just got another one in the mail. And I interviewed a real estate broker, and this guy Zion Mizrahi, who some would call him a slumlord. I don't know,
Right.
But he was right on. He was on Orchard Street or Ludlow Street. He had an office for years, and it was really interesting. So Orchard Street. Zion Mizrahi created the Orchard Street we know today. He got there in the 60s as a teen working in his father's suit shop. When Zion was grown up, heck, middle-aged, Assemblyman Sheldon Silver gave him the good idea of turning the street into a business entertainment district. I think Sheldon he might have just gotten out of jail.
I'm not sure.
He got one of those things where like, you're dying, so okay. The blocks were kind of raggedy at night until then. And in the day, you could get lots of buttery leather pants in vivacious colors, cardigans with foxtails dangling from the shoulder blade area, house dresses, ties, the whole gamut. Now it's some different stuff. It's hard to get upset by these developments, but anybody who's lived in the LES a long time fits into one of two categories: permanently indignant or trying to get the right combo of psych meds. Anyway, since the apartment units remain frustratingly small, 20-somethings who meet and want to spawn will leave this immediate area to house the new extra lives they must feel are the necessary next step. It does not go men's suits, crime, fetish, bistro, courtship, parenthood for these recherche readers.
I love it. I love both of those that you just read. Really, I can really picture New York City in this part of New York City.
That was if you...
The NYU thing, that just spread like a fungus. It's like, remember how like in the 80s it was half the size or less of it.
My favorite writer,
they took over this area.
Gary Steingart calls it the school for the bright enough.
Right. Yeah, and the money enough.
They're real estate brokers, and it's a party school.
Right. Yeah.
My assistant is going. They have a program where you create your own major, and so they have good stuff you can use.
You definitely have. I love talking to you. You definitely remind me of what this whole place was like.
Yeah.
Because I moved into Brooklyn in '79, and
did you?
Yeah, so it's so different here. Like you said, it's so different here and anywhere in New York City. Some places got too sanitized. You wanted to talk about elder care.
Oh yeah, so this one book, my I had this put out.
Can I see it?
Yeah, it's a really cute book. I'd had a roommate who got into
I take it that's you.
old-fashioned bookmaking, Joffrey Bridgman, and he put together this neat little pamphlet of 4 essays on glossy paper, and the font was incredible.
Right.
And I tried to do it with my friend Drew Cushing from Bent Boy Press, but we just could not find. Anyway, no one wants to hear me drone on about font, but it's a big thing in my world. So this is.
I work with a graphic designer, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when she would have to sit at a draft board and do, you know, I mean, it was before the computer. She had to cut out the letters and post them on a board. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But
and
yeah, fonts are important to a lot of people.
a lot of people overlook fonts.
Right.
And so they put all this work into a book, and then they got this like 10-point font.
Do you consider yourself visually artistic also?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I'm attracted to what I would call flash. Tattoo artists call flash.
Okay.
But I do, but I'm pretty attuned to fonts because
Right.
I've been doing this 45 years. And so this is elder care. Jimmy Crucifix shares posts about the best places to retire now and then. A listicle accompanied by a dreamy picture. Ecuador, Costa Rica, places Americans can't pronounce without a fanciful lip stretch. Costa Rica, Ecuador. Jimmy is a longtime rocker with tendinitis, which most of them have, lung spots, trouble breathing, pit bull walking, carrying heavy music gear, equipment. It ain't gonna happen. This tropical island under the palms with umbrella drinks. Every once in a while, my old friend Tom wonders where both of us might go. At one point, we were thinking of Lodi, a nothing town in California. Problem is, I have no ability to drive, so I'd have to just sit in the house watching my back, hearing the squawks from housing complex neighbors with special needs liabilities, calling 911 uselessly every time they bump their head or run out of Oxycontin, Klonopin, Xanax, love. Nobody plans to end up on the street, a sad and increasingly common sight. Or in a senior facility in the outer boroughs, getting ignored and bed-sored by indifferent low-wage workers. That's where an old body ends up. And I've always been an end-up type. In fact, right now, I've ended up doing elder caretaker work for my 92-year-old mother, which means I stay with her and listen to the blare of Big Bang Theory on TV, help her dress, wash, get from day to night and back again with no real purpose. A lot of people do this for their parents. Washing, managing, using a sing-song voice to disguise the anger and disgust. The voice as well as the language is a lie, maybe a useful one. Caretaking, doing a great thing that you will be so grateful for. Thank you for your service. Nobody knows where we go when we have Alzheimer's and dementia. There are symptoms that are across the board common, such as fibbing about knowing what day it is, covering up, reluctance to eat despite a constant chewing motion. I think we forget how to swallow at some point. My mother loves Pringles, though, and I sneak them to her all the time. The command center's just not there anymore. The mind that remains is probably best occupied by play, not punishment. And really nobody wants to play for free with somebody who can't reciprocate, doesn't represent cuteness and hope, and constantly says, what? There is some useful field knowledge, a clothing line called Wearables for shrinking people who can't handle buttons, zippers, or shoelaces. Regular seeming underpants for people who are incontinent but resist wearing Band-Aid colored adult diapers. Ceramic plates, bowls, and cups are too unwieldy. They're too heavy for frail seniors. It's best to replace them with light plastic. Milk cartons become too confusing to open and close. Practically everything is too confusing. I could cut it there. It's more this.
How long did you provide elder care for your mom?
I would say more hardcore. Maybe 3 years.
Oh, that's a
but
long
there
time.
there wasn't a situation to do with money and my sibling and poverty and
Right.
crime and
That's rough.
I
Right.
think
I understand.
I think a lot of people are
Right.
dealing.
Right.
We deal with that, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, why do we have to reinvent the wheel every time it happens?
Right.
Because it happens.
That's very hard to do. I mean, I helped my parents at the later parts of their lives in their 90s. It didn't ever get that bad, but and we were lucky because, not lucky that my father had an accident, but because he had an accident, he wound up with 24-hour care. So
Yeah.
but it's hard to do. I went to visit him every couple of weeks, every other week. I mean, but it was just easy stuff, not what you had to do. It was making him a meal, talking to him, taking him out, going to doctor's appointments. But the
There's
level of
a
care
lot
that
of
you
stuff
gave,
to
you had to
it.
really sacrifice a lot.
I didn't. What I made sure that I kept myself, and I was kind of in a subordinate position in this system. So I would, my friend Paul Pot had a weekly music night at the Missouri Lounge in Berkeley,
Okay.
and I'd go to that, or I took an online writing workshop. So my mother was mostly asleep by 9,
Right.
so I'd do that.
Right. So you had to go back to San Francisco to take over.
Well, I went to Berkeley, but
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of a bum, so it's not this thing like pulling up stakes
Right.
and this
It's
and that.
easy for you to move around.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's what I had 2 households,
Right.
and I have 2 households still. I guess it's my thing.
Right. By the way, Portugal is also on the list of great places to retire to.
Also, this jazz singer was telling me Panama.
All of this that you're talking about is all stuff that I think about.
Exactly.
Everybody does. You get to be our age, and you can't help it. It's part of our lives now.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of, I have a kind of disabled husband who I love, of course, here. But I went to Sun City to visit a friend to see if I could drive a golf cart.
Yeah. It's so weird. My brother and his wife have a golf cart in their garage.
They all have golf
Their backyard
carts.
is a golf course.
Yeah.
And listen to this, it's a gated community. There's 2 golf courses, but there's no parks. I was like, do you have a park? I want to go for a walk. It's like, I don't know.
I don't give them
get
much.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it was a beautiful house, and you have to drive everywhere, like half an hour.
Yeah.
Everything.
Far.
Yeah, so that's the one. You talk about retirement. I mean, the one thing I like about where we are is you can just walk and get everything.
You can. I live in a walk-up tenement. My husband's in a wheelchair.
Oh, that's not good.
So he can't.
Right.
He certainly can't come to my place.
Right.
And he doesn't have. That's the thing, and you learn about it
Right.
as a semi-caretaker. You start seeing what's ADA. And,
Right.
what's.
Or if you can get into a building that's either ground floor or has an elevator, that's
Yeah, not everyone, has that option. But
No.
so anyway, next week I'm going to New Orleans.
Oh,
My
okay.
old friend,
Love it down there.
Art Debris, he's living in this amenities building in uptown New Orleans.
Right.
And it has a pool.
By the way, you casually say stuff that could pull up another conversation for me, but I'm weird. I have to keep an eye on the clock. But
Yeah.
There's so many things you've said that have made me want to, like American haiku. I actually wrote a haiku recently, which is probably American haiku. I wish maybe we'll have to do another one. But I wanted to make sure you wanted to play something from the new album.
Yeah, this is this song. It might be.
I think what we'll do is, we'll say our goodbyes to each other, and we'll end on this song.
All right.
Yeah.
And this song, it might be actually the most viable thing
Okay.
I have now. It's called You Weren't Born Yet.
And the album's called She's Got the Weirdness.
And, yeah,
Is that available in typical places?
No, no, my shit's available in typical places. So,
and one more thing. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Do you want if you would like, you want to tell people how they can find your writing, your music, your art, whatever, or unless you don't want to do that. But that's.
Oh yeah, of course I love it. I'm trying to figure out how to get songs streaming, just like everyone else is trying to figure out this world. And live gigs on a low level are not the way to get music out there. They're fun as hell.
Right.
But it's things go haywire. It's a joke.
Sure.
But it's a fun joke.
Right.
And book-wise, if you put in Jennifer Blowdryer on Abe, Alibris, sometimes Amazon, if you put in True Blue, you can get the newest, the Apathy Press book.
Okay.
And also, Abe and Alibris are good sites to buy books. And so they'll, all my books from the past, from 1984 on, they all circulate like a ghost transaction. I don't make any money, and the prices vary. Sometimes, right.
So, so this is the end of the show. Are you ready to cue up a piece?
No, I actually need a second to get back to.
Well, I will say that I want to thank the listeners to listening to Storytelling on Orchard Street. We're in the P&T Knitwear Bookstore podcast studio. You should come out and check the bookstore. It's great. They have readings here, great book selection. And my guest has been Jennifer Blowdryer, a fascinating person. I really enjoyed having you on the show. And yeah. And what was the name of the song you're going to play?
Now this song, I hopefully have it on SoundCloud. It's called You Weren't Born Yet. And I'm sorry, I should really find it first. Maybe you could just have some dead air.
I'm going to read my American haiku.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So I was supposed to go to a poetry reading, and the theme was haiku, and I'd never written one before. So I wrote one, and then I decided to write four, and I didn't make it to the to the reading because of the trains. Anyway, so it's my attempt at haikus. Part 1. Joy came upon him. He lingered in its bright light, chose darkness instead. Part 2. He went for a walk, lost in a cemetery, graves filled with the dead. Part 3. She chided his path, obsession with his own death, to a bitter end. Part 4. It never happened, just a dream or a nightmare that had no ending. That's it.
Yeah, I like it. It's weird that word chide. You know how among writers or music, our type, there's certain words that are just in the air for a while.
Right.
And chide
is one of them.
Oh yeah, and also I call me and one of my accompanist, we call it the bitters.
Okay.
You know, like musicians get the bitters.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So is the song ready?
Yeah. So this is You Weren't Born Yet, and it's I have my friend Raphael Cintron on some vocals. This guy Luigi Scorcia doing a little bit of a loud guitar lead, which is great, and my husband Jonathan Gerstad and Kevin Tooley produced it, and I'm pretty sure there's Robert Aaron playing some mean sax.
Cool, can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, and goodbye, everybody.
Bye. See you later, or not.
Going to the Mabuhay Gardens, walking through the Broadway tunnel, dressed up in a Fredericks of Hollywood bathing suit, and Levi 501s, handcuffs from Dana, hanging from the lips. Bambi, Purcell, hand-knitted gowns, and Christian Louis Vuitton. Baltimore, 91, year to go for. I danced with a man. You
sweet and good candy. Then I, me and the boys jamming like we did every Friday night on Conga Club. Oh, and this cat sitting on the Conga, killing it. Thinking about how when I had an art gallery, I was so happy. I knew one of the doormen at the Palladium. He worked the back door on 13th Street and always let me in for free. Straight up the back stairs into the VIP section of the Michael Todd room. Oh, that's right. You weren't born yet. Turns out the cat was Willie Tito Puente.
You weren't born
And there was
yet.
Jimmy Pacheco, Willie Colon. All the family all started to say, but you
weren't born yet.
And I was in an art band with another gallery owner, and we were playing at the hippest club in the East Village. And Andy Warhol came to see us, but he left before we played because he got mobbed by paparazzi. That's right. You weren't born yet.
How would you know? Why should I care? We had our ups, we had our downs, we had our downs. They yelled, freak, freak at us as we walked by. Can't please everybody. But baby,